the Yvonne McComb Show. Today I have the awesome privilege of having my sister in love, Miss Tacola. Yes. Okay, like we always do with every show, I'm going to share the scripture that God gave me on Miss Cola's behalf. Oh yeah, and Cola is the same lady. So okay, so see, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. Now I asked God, like, God, why this scripture when it pertains to her? And he's like, Yvonne, like all the new things I'm doing, like there's nothing that she cannot do. And so I'm like, okay, I get that. Like she can do makeup, she can do hair, she can do eyelashes. She got a store online that I got 2 dresses from. Like she can do it all. She can cook. And I'm sure I'm missing other things, but I can truly see the fruit that God has given her, just blessing this lady. She's just blessed. So Miss Cola, with this scripture, how did that resonate, or did it resonate with you?
So basically, again, like I said in the beginning, we started I started a business with one of the young girls that I used to teach praise dance to in 2018. When we first started, our brains didn't see what manifested. When we first began, it was just basically one item, straight lashes. And then from there, we basically built a whole cosmetic line. And not only did we have a whole cosmetic line, but we went from building by ourselves to actually having 40 workers. We actually are able to pay commission to these ladies for, basically putting our brand out there for other people to see. From there, I've been able to now have a boutique. I now have getting ready to open up a bra bar and things like that. So that scripture is like, yeah, the fruits are lining up. And how, I don't know, but it's happening.
See, and that's awesome, because usually like people can say that they're doing stuff, but you can see your work, like the fruit. You can see your fruit, like you see it's like, and it's just booming, and that's awesome.
And you don't know where it comes from, but you know it comes from God. That's the first thing.
Yes. Yes, and I'm glad you said that, because sometimes people will attribute it all to themselves, but you like, no, I recognize who it is. I recognize. So
trust me, we didn't do none of this.
Yeah. And
we didn't do none of this.
When did you start to recognize God, or when did you recognize God moving in your life? Not just through the business, but just around for a while, but like when?
Well, see, I always been a PK kid. So I've always had to go to church from a youngin'. And then naturally, when we get older, we decide to do what we want to do. Maybe it be not go to church. You get what I'm saying? But we still have that same type of relationship that we've had with God since we were younger. So it grows with us. You just have to know how to be back in tune with it. So I want to say, I believe it was 2000 and I want to say 16.
Okay.
I believe it was 2016. I was in Washington, D.C. I was going to meet Iana.
Okay.
I actually got a chance to have a one-on-one with Iana.
Whoa.
And it was at that moment that I knew beginning my relationship back with God was needed.
Yeah.
I believe that very same day, it was a funeral of a lady that I've been knowing my whole life, and I missed it. When I had the meeting with Iana, after we went through my whole past all the way up to the beginning future, that very day, and I missed that funeral, and it was heavy on my heart.
Yeah.
I went to my hotel room, and I prayed for 2 hours straight.
Wow.
2 hours straight. It was not. It was nobody else. All the lights were off.
Yeah.
I was just in this hotel room. I was by myself. I caught the plane by myself. I prayed for 2 hours straight.
Wow.
After I prayed for 2 hours straight, I seen changes.
Wow.
I went home a whole different person than what I came.
Yeah.
And from that very point on is when things start happening for me. I thought of the broad business, I thought of all these different things. And from that point on, everything I actually went and did, it just, even though I didn't see it, it was happening. So it was like, I knew it wasn't me.
Yeah.
I knew I couldn't make these people say yeah, because I didn't know them. So
Exactly.
I knew it could only be one person. And then from then I began to basically in the conversation that me and Yana had, she basically was what she told all the ladies, the other ladies too that was there, what she told us all is sometimes you have to revert back to where it all began. And where it all began for most of us was being young, in church, have to go to Sunday school. You have to go to regular church. You got to go to Bible study. You got to go to choir rehearsal. You got to do those things. But as she said is, in your adult life, you get to make decisions and choices. And when you make those decisions and choices, you have to make sure they're equivalent to what the Creator has created for you. And the only way to know that is if you get on your knees.
Yeah.
Because guess what? When you get on your knees and pray, those answers will slowly come. Not in the form of which you think they will come, but in a whole together different form. So when they do start to come, you could recognize that I didn't do this.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that one moment in time that I remember that vividly, 2017 in DC, that's when my relationship with God changed.
Yeah, and that's awesome. To me visualizing everything is like it was a huge key, and you was like click and unlock that, and God's like, look, Cola, this is all that I have for you right here and more. I'm sure.
And you was basically pushing it off because you was trying to do what you wanted to do, how you wanted to do it, in your way, in your light, in your line, but that's not the way it goes. Sometimes you gotta get out your own way in order to see the way that God has for you. Exactly. And that's the only way it's gonna happen.
And I'm glad you said that, because sometimes we can be in our own way. So based off of that little part that you said, what encouraging word would you give a younger you who's in their own way?
You know what the crazy part is? This was just a question. I'm in a group I'm in a group called Let's Get Dined, where there's women from all across the world in this group, and basically what we do is dine each other. It could be in a form of we play a game, and whoever gets the answer, you send them the Cash App. But one of the younger girls asked the question, for 30 and over, what advice would you give to the younger girls now that's going up and basically trying to find their way? Yeah. So my answer to her was, don't rush growing. Growing is a part of the process. If you rush the growing process, you will never learn. You're going to skip some steps. You're going to miss some things. That's okay, because you can always go back and redo the things that you haven't done. But sometimes you can't unmake the things you have done. So basically, it's better to get something wrong versus to do it your way and keep continually making the mistakes and not learning from it. So basically, I would say to most definitely listen to your first mind. Most definitely keep God first, because that's going to be the person that's going to lead your steps and going to guide you to the things that you need to, to make it to the next levels in life. You're going to have to stay patient. You're going to have to stay focused. Yeah. Don't search for life and love.
Mm.
You have to already have life in order to be with somebody and fully be able to have love.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you haven't lived and learned to love, how could you be with another? And how could you be with somebody else and love in the proper way you're supposed to if you haven't learned?
Right.
So I would say take your time. Don't rush. Whatever it is that you want, God is gonna put it in the way for you if it's something that you totally need. Yeah. He's not gonna give you things that you don't need. So you may want it, but you might not need it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we get are often confused. It's like, okay, God, I told you I wanted this car. But God is saying you haven't even appreciated the 2017 I gave you.
Right, right.
So how can I bless you with the 2020?
Yeah.
You have to be able to accept failure, accept the things that you have not even, gotten right in order to know that you could work on it and get it right the next time.
Yeah.
I would say pace yourself. It's not a rush. The things that happen for Sarah could happen for you, but it might happen in a different light. Exactly. It might happen in a different way. Sarah might get married, get a car, and have a career, and God might say, he don't want your line to go that way. He might want your line to go work, kids, career, then husband. That's just your life. You have to be able to be okay with it. You have to be able to know that it's not because, he's punishing you for something. It just may not be your time. I will honestly say, don't get in your own way. Because that's the mistake we often make. We get in our own way. The thoughts get to coming, but what if? You have to take that self-doubt out and you have to replace it with prayer. Because when you replace the doubt with prayer, it's going to open your eyes to new things that you probably didn't see before. So I would basically say, don't grow too fast. Take your time. Take your time. It's not a rush. It's not a race. It's life. And sometimes mistakes you make cannot be undone. So most definitely you want to make sure that, okay, God, before I make this decision, I'm going to sit here and pray real quick. I need to make sure that if it's God's will, he going to lead me into it. If it's not, something going to happen. It don't matter if, I overslept and forgot about the time. No, you didn't oversleep. God kept you sleeping because it probably wasn't meant for you. You get what I'm saying? That's just like when you accidentally miss a street and you like, dang, I missed that street. I knew it was right there. It was a reason God didn't let you turn down that street. Exactly. When you went past it. So I would say, pace yourself. Don't rush. Don't rush life. It's not a race. Be steadfast in what you believe in. Make sure before you do anything or make any decisions, pray about it. And if you sit and listen, you'll hear God's answers. Trust me. The answers are there. You're just not still enough to hear it. And that's often what we do. We'll pray. Like tonight, I can get on my knees and pray tonight and ask God for something and think that tomorrow it's supposed to happen. Yeah. And then it didn't happen. So now I'm mad. Prayer don't work. You get what I'm saying? But then when I go home, he blessed me with 10 times of what I asked for. Yeah. So you have patience. Yeah. Go slow and be patient. Those are the main two things. I had to learn patience myself. Yeah. I was a very impatient. Very impatient. I don't like waiting for nothing. But I had to learn to be patient. And the reason why you have to learn to be patient is because God doesn't do anything in a hurry. Yeah. Everything he's done is everything he's doing and he's gonna do and will do is gonna be done accordingly. It's gonna be well planned and thought out, and it's not gonna be rushed and put together. So you have to basically live your life in that same way. You can't rush. You have to be focused, and you can't let outside energies take away from the journey you're on. So just pace yourself. Go slow. live through life. Don't rush for nothing, because everything that you're supposed to have, nothing can be taken away from you that God got for you. If it's
Yeah.
meant for you to have it, you're going to get it. Whether you 2,
Yeah.
10, 24, or 30, it's
Mm-hmm.
going to come if it's meant for you
Yeah.
to have. So basically, patience, live life slowly,
Mm-hmm.
and listen for God's word.
Yeah.
That would be the advice I would tell my old self.
And
Most
those
definitely.
are awesome nuggets of wisdom. Like, people need that. Like, I can't wait for this to be out, because I know it's gonna help so many people. Because sometimes we truly do. We're getting in our own way.
Yes,
And
we
when
get
you
it on it.
the growth, it reminded me of when we were younger, and like we'll say, "Oh, my leg hurts, my arm hurts," and people say, "Oh, those are growing pains."
Okay.
And when you can sit still, like you said, like you was preaching, Sister Tacola, when you was if you sit still to hear God, then you would avoid lots of growing pain,
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortableness. But even in that, which is the beauty, because when we mess up, like you talked about earlier, God still covers that and it's like, okay, I'm going to use that still. I'm still going to use that. And it's still a part of our awesome story. And I
Mm-hmm.
love just talking to you because you're unapologetically you. And
That's
that
me.
is awesome. Yes, that's awesome.
You
Now,
have to
in
be.
that, what you would tell your younger self, what will you tell your future self? Because God is, I know He's blowing your mind.
I would probably tell my future self to be still.
Okay.
Be still. Wait.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell my future self to basically, how can I put it? I would tell my future self to basically wait on God
Okay.
versus pushing to do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times what I found myself often to do is, because it didn't happen right away, or what I wanted, or how I wanted, or feel that God should have done it, I go
Mm-hmm.
do it myself
Uh-huh.
and mess up the whole line, because it was like, you weren't supposed to do that.
Right.
So I would tell my future self to be still
Mm-hmm.
and wait on God versus trying to so much push it for yourself. Wait.
Yeah.
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 Wait.
And that's good, because a lot of us can use that today. Wait.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah.
have to wait. I noticed that sometimes when you rush things to happen and then it don't happen right, you're mad. But you're mad because you didn't have the patience to just be still and let
Yeah.
God work the whole situation out for you. You felt like, okay, God, you talked to her. Then she came and apologized to me, but she still didn't whoop-de-whoop and whoop-de-whoop. And you
Right.
didn't know that that's what the next steps for her to do. But
Yeah.
God had to plant her feet in the ground the right way in order
Mm-hmm.
to approach you in the right way for you to
Yeah.
have the correct response.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Because
That's
in
huge.
certain times, a person is like, okay, God, I want a better relationship with my friend.
Mm-hmm.
But you praying about it, so your friend come to you. And when she come to you, like, she done came to me with this half apology. I don't believe it, whoop whoop. But if you pray to God and asked Him for it, and then she came and delivered the apology, you always have to remember that nothing is always going to happen the way you want it to. The
Exactly.
apology may not sound sincere to you, but it could have been the sincerest that she had in her. So
Right. Right.
oftentimes we be so in a rush. We rush for everything. Everything is we gotta have it. We gotta have it. We gotta have it.
Yeah.
So the reason why I said be still and wait is because you got to be able to hear,
Right.
and you can't hear if you're steady moving, if you're
Right.
steady talking, if you steady watching TV, if you
Right.
steady texting. When you be still and wait, you have to really be still and wait. And that's
Yeah.
something that a lot of us have bad. We can't be
Mm-hmm.
still and we can't wait for nothing. It's like,
Yeah.
I want it and I want it right now. And if
Right.
I don't get it right now, it's a problem. And then
Mm-hmm.
God saying, okay, I'm going to give it to you right now, but you're going to get it, and it's going to come with a gang of side effects.
Yeah.
Versus when I was going to bless you with it next month, it wasn't going to have no side effects.
Right.
But because you're rushing for it, I'm going to give it to you. And I'm going to let you see just how much of a headache it is because you wanted it done the way you wanted it done.
Right, right.
So yeah, most definitely wait. It's no rush. Just wait. Yeah. I didn't get to where I was by rushing.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was rushing, nothing was going right.
Yes.
When I began to wait and listen, things began to go a different way. And that's because I wasn't in my own head, and I wasn't doing things the way I wanted to do it. I was doing it the way God told me to do it. Yeah. So you have to most definitely, I would tell my older self to wait.
That's huge because we live in such a fast-paced world. We got fast food. We got fast, quickly things at our fingertips. Like everything is fast. So that is huge. Like wait, there's actually lots of scriptures that say wait on the Lord. And you reminded me of King Solomon because when he prayed for wisdom, and all that you were saying is just like you're vomiting wisdom. like you are so let's see, my question is next. We're talking a lot about God, we're talking about prayer. What if someone, they see our video and they don't know who God is? How would you share God to them?
My best experience, I say, with God, I was not even ready for it. My first experience with God in that type of fashion, to where I really wasn't trying to hear anything at that time. I probably was hot-headed. About 10 years ago, a best friend of mine was killed. And I didn't find out until a year later.
Oh, wow.
I remember calling his grandma, because I usually go for Thanksgiving and Christmas to visit. And when she answered the phone and asked me, was I joking about asking to speak to him, I think that was the first time I ever felt my heart and stomach fall to the ground, because I didn't know what was getting ready to happen.
Yeah.
She asked me, she said, are you by yourself? I said, yeah. She said, is there anybody in the house that can come near? I said, yeah. At that time, it was one of my friends at my house, but she was in the bathroom. So she said, you really don't know, huh? And I said, no, what? And she told me that he was killed. And I think that was the very first time I had a huge encounter with God, because that was the loudest scream and cry I've ever had.
Yeah.
I think that's the time I experienced God, and I didn't realize or understand it myself. It's gonna be an unfamiliar thing for you, especially if you're not used to going to church, or if you don't know. It's gonna be something. And even though I went to church, it was still unfamiliar to me. The comfort that I felt on my right versus the negative I felt on my left was crazy. I remember that like it was yesterday. I felt so heavy.
Yeah.
I literally probably cried for 4 months.
Wow.
And each time I cried, I felt a different sense of energy. Until one day I stood in the corner and I said, well, God, whatever this is, I just want to get rid of it. And it wasn't the fact that I needed to get rid of it. It was the fact that I needed to accept it.
Yeah, yeah.
And at that moment that I accepted it, I experienced God in a whole different light.
Wow.
I was able to go to the cemetery and sit with my best friend, and I talked to him for 4 hours straight. Nobody talking back to me. I talked for 4 hours straight. I left there I went home. I went to sleep, and I remember waking up, and the sun was shining bright.
Yeah.
I don't even know if anybody else seen the sun in the way that I seen it.
Yeah.
So it was bright, and it was
Mhm.
basically telling me that everything is okay.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You prayed out and cried to me, and here's your answer.
Yeah.
Everything is okay. So if you don't know him, the best way to get to know him is by yourself.
Yeah.
It's not in the church house. It's
Right.
not in the building. It's
Mm-hmm.
not with your grandma. It's
Yeah.
not with your grandpa. It's not with the pastor. You have to get to know him for you.
Yes.
Nobody is gonna be able to tell you what it feels like to have an experience with God but you.
Yeah.
You're the one that's only gonna have that up and close personal feel and touch with yourself and with him. It's not gonna come through the pastor preaching to you. It's
Right.
gonna come by you solely just saying, okay, God, I don't know what these people are talking about. They say you're real. You get what I'm saying? You somehow have to talk to God like this as if he your homegirl.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
God, okay, what's going on? These people telling me you blessing them.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it. I feel like I'm cast out. Show
Yeah.
me, but you can't just say show me. You actually have to get on your knees.
Yeah.
Whether you know how to pray like the preacher pray or not, you have to talk to him as if he's your friend at all times. And be the most vulnerable that you've ever been.
Yeah.
You have to get on your knees.
Yeah.
And you have to actually say, God, they tell me that you're real, but I need to see it.
Yeah.
And I promise you, he's going to show you in a whole light that nobody else can show you.
Yes.
Nobody else is going to be able to pray that prayer you pray.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to pray that prayer, feel it,
Right.
believe it,
Mm-hmm.
know it,
Yeah.
recognize it,
Mm-hmm.
and know that, okay, this is who he is. Because when you get in that vertical moment and he surrounds you, you're going to feel it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to know that this thing that everybody talk about is real.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not just for talk. It's not just for show. But
Right.
God is so real.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I'm telling you how real God is because I almost died twice.
Oh wow.
2013, I've always had fibroids all my life.
Mm-hmm.
When I was pregnant with my son, I had fibroids. 2013, I began to bleed very, very badly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you see me in the pain.
Yeah.
I couldn't get up off the floor. I could barely walk. I could barely do things. I got strep throat and I tried to come here to this very same place that I love. Nobody knows why I love New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
I almost died here. I came here to go to the Battle of the Bands with my auntie and uncle.
Mm-hmm.
I had strep throat before I left. When I left, I thought I was okay, good. I came here.
Mm-hmm.
When I got here, I started to feel even worse.
Yeah.
I couldn't barely eat. I couldn't swallow. They ended up having to take me to the emergency down the street from the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
They kept me about 2 hours and then they sent me back. We got to the game. We left the game. I almost passed out. They took me instantly back to the hospital. I spent 2 weeks in New Orleans hospital. 2 weeks.
Wow.
They had to get me to the point where I could get back home. My auntie
Mm-hmm.
like, we gonna get you back home.
Yeah.
Once I got back to the LAX, my auntie was there to pick me up, take me to the hospital. I was going out so much that she was trying to hold me up and drive. At the same time, I was dehydrated to the fullest.
Yeah.
I went from one hospital to next hospital to the third hospital. The third hospital I stayed in for almost a month.
Oh my goodness.
It was an older lady next to me. I was almost coding into a code mode.
Oh,
I hear her voice say, "You guys have to hurry up. She's going to die in here."
oh my gosh.
The very next day, I wake up. After that happened, I don't even know what transpired after, but the very next day, I know I wake up.
Yeah.
I had visitors. I walked out that hospital taking baby steps. I had to end up going to another hospital. They tried to flush me with fluids and things like that. After I left that hospital, I slowly started to get better.
Uh-huh.
But then my bleeding started heavily again 3 years later.
Yeah.
I once again was in a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
They was telling, the doctor called me and told me, you have high levels of cancer in your system on my son's birthday, November 16th, 2017. Wow.
Yeah.
No, 2018. He told me you have high levels of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I cried. I was starting to get sicker and sicker. Medicine wasn't working. None of these things were working. But when I had to have that blood transfusion, the nurse sat next to me and she said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "No, none of the doctors to this day."
Yeah.
They said, "I don't know how you're walking. I don't even know how you could make it to the doctor." My blood levels was so low.
Yeah.
That I should have been dead last year.
Wow.
So out of all of these things, nobody can tell me that God's not real.
Yeah.
Almost dying twice, and I'm here today well.
Yes.
I wasn't supposed to have a son, but I have a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
There's no way anybody can tell me that God is not
real. Yes. Yes.
Nothing that I have today would be possible without God.
Yeah.
So when you've been through those things, you can somewhat tell somebody about the experience and they go, "Whoa, that really happened." But for me, it's real life, and I know who kept me alive.
Right.
I know the reason why I'm sitting here, which is why I do everything in my power to make it so that another woman can live and tell her story.
Yeah.
You're gonna go through it. You're gonna go through everything that you possibly did. I've had a miscarriage. I know that. You get what I'm saying? I've had these different things, so I know who God is on a different level. Nobody can tell me who God is.
Yeah.
So if you're searching for him, keep searching until you find out who he is to you.
I love
not who he is to Sherry, not who he is to your grandma, not who he is to your pastor. Find out who he is to you. And if you have anything that you made it through, it wasn't you, baby. It was God.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only thing I can tell you to get to know God. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be willing to accept the things that you're wrong. You have to be able to say, "God, I don't know what I'm doing. I really need your help. You know, this is not a game over here. I really need your help." And guess what? He's going to show up.
Yeah.
He's going to show up. So most definitely, if you need to know God, it's time to get vulnerable. It's time to set yourself aside. It's time to block the noise. It's time to let everything that's clouding the judgment, that's the loud noise that you hear in the background, it's time to let that go.
Yeah.
Because you have to be quiet and be still in order to hear. That's the only way you're gonna hear him. So I would most definitely say you have to get vulnerable.
Yeah.
If you're not vulnerable, you're not gonna know who God is. If you're too hard, you're not gonna know who God is.
Yeah.
You have to be able to allow him in and allow him to work.
Mm-hmm.
You have to allow him to work. It's not gonna be. It's not like I always call it. It's not a Pop-Tart session.
Yeah.
You can't just put your request in the toaster. In 10 minutes, it's gonna pop. The answer gonna pop up.
Right.
It's not a pop-up session.
Yeah.
It's a total commitment.
Yeah.
It's something that you're gonna have to change some of the things that you do in order to get some of the things that you want. It's like a give and take relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, God, I'm gonna give up the beer.
Mm-hmm.
And then in replacement, God gonna replace it probably with another income. Yeah. So I gave up beer and I gained income. Mm-hmm. I gave up cigarettes and I gained this. So it's like it's a give and take relationship. And if you're not ready to give and take, then you're not ready for a relationship with God. You have to be ready. You most definitely have to be ready. If you're not ready, you're not gonna accept the things that he wants for you to do. It's gonna be too hard. Everything that he tell you to do is like, God, you want me to go say sorry to her for what? She, she stole my money. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be those moments. You know, sis, you already know. Like, God, you want me to forgive her and she slapped my baby last week?
Yeah.
What? Yeah, like you want to pop off, but he like, no. Yeah. Sit down. Have a seat. She's already paying for that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just sometimes that we just want people to get it. Right. Where they go get it. And that's all we want to hear. But that ain't the way it goes. So you must definitely gonna have to be vulnerable. You're gonna have to be able to pace yourself. You're gonna have to be able to block out the noise. And then trust me, he'll show himself. And it won't be lightly. He gonna show himself and he gonna bloom out on you and you ain't gonna know what happened. Yeah. So most definitely, be vulnerable. That's gonna be the best way for you to get to know who God is, the way the rest of us know who he is. And the way the rest of us can feel him and see him. That's the only way you're gonna be able to experience that when you open up. Right.
And see that's awesome. Usually at the end, I always do the invitation. You did that, so I ain't got to do that.
Listen, I don't want to steal your show, sis.
You did that. So
I ain't even got to do my time.
Yeah. Exactly. But it's all about relationship, and it's just you got truth today. You guys got wisdom. She was transparent, and I just felt her heart, and that is what I believe what attracts people to the realness and the raw. Because being a saved or a Christian is not about everything's okay. No, you go through stuff. You're not perfect, and people put us so up here when we not Jesus. We trying to be like him, but we not him. Yeah. So, how you put it was so eloquent. I love it. Now, before we close, is there anything else that you would like to share?
Not really. I really enjoyed having the conversation with you. It actually gave me a little, vent mode.
How could our listeners, how could they follow you, follow your businesses?
Okay, so I actually have 2 businesses that I'm building right now. It's Her Plush Teak Boutique, and then we have Lash Levels, which is a lash line. You can follow us on Instagram at Her Plush Teak, or you can follow us on Instagram at Lash Levels. The last 3 is an E, so that's LASHLEV3LS. Or you can find me on Facebook as well at Lash Levels LLC.
Okay, well, you heard it first, y'all. Go ahead and follow and support because I got 2 dresses and I'm getting some more stuff. You guys have a wonderful night, and thank you so much, sis, for being my guest.
Welcome. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay,
You have a nice night.
you.
All right.